Imagine reaching into an old drawer, brushing past a pile of forgotten receipts, and pulling out a penny that could be worth nearly $1 million. Not a gold coin, not a rare piece of ancient treasure, just a small, copper-colored coin that millions of people once spent without a second thought. That is the incredible story of the 1945 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. A coin so ordinary in appearance, yet so extraordinary in value, with certain examples now commanding up to $945,000 in today's market. Think about it. A single cent struck in the middle of World War II when copper was in high demand, when steel and nickel were diverted to tanks and ammunition. This penny, minted in Philadelphia with no mint mark, was designed for circulation, meant to pass from hand to hand unnoticed. But history has a way of turning the forgotten into fortune. And if you're listening right now, you might be sitting on one of the rarest and most valuable pennies in existence. Now, let's clear something up before excitement sends you tearing through every jar of loose change in the house. Not every 1945 penny is worth a fortune. The vast majority of them are worth anywhere from a few cents to maybe a few dollars in worn condition. So what makes some of these coins worth life-changing sums? That's where the story gets fascinating, and where your opportunity lies. Collectors crave rarity, and rarity is born from mistakes, conditions, and survival. The 1945 Lincoln penny has become legendary because of high-grade examples. Coins that somehow escaped circulation, coins with virtually no scratches or wear, coins that shimmer under magnification as though they were struck yesterday. Imagine the odds of that. In 1945, a penny was used dozens of times a day, dropped in vending machines, scraped against other coins. For one to survive in pristine condition, untouched for nearly 8 decades, is almost miraculous. And that miracle is what auction houses are willing to pay nearly $1 million for. Here's where the story turns even more intriguing. Beyond condition, there are error coins, mistruck examples, double-die varieties, off-center strikes, that transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. Some collectors believe a handful of 1945 pennies with such unique features are still hidden in private hands, waiting to be discovered. And when one of those coins surfaces, the bidding wars can be intense, with prices skyrocketing beyond belief. You might be thinking, all right, but what are the chances that I, sitting here, actually have one? Well, let me ask you this. How many people over the years have unknowingly spent fortunes at the grocery store without ever realizing what passed through their hands? Every great discovery begins with someone daring to look closer. That jar of coins in your closet, that penny taped into a childhood album, could be the very one collectors have been chasing for decades. Wouldn't it be a shame if you tossed it aside without knowing? The truth is, many people let fear hold them back. Fear of being disappointed, fear of not knowing how to tell the difference, fear of looking foolish. But the real danger is not looking at all. Imagine discovering 10 years from now that you had a 1945 penny worth hundreds of thousands, but you let it slip through your fingers. That kind of regret doesn't fade. And here's the good news. You don't need to be an expert overnight. All it takes is curiosity, patience, and the willingness to learn. So, what should you do if you find a 1945 Lincoln penny with no mint mark in your possession? Start by examining the coin's condition. Is it crisp, with sharp details on Lincoln's hair and the wheat stalks on the reverse? Does it shine with that unmistakable red luster collectors crave? Next, check for errors. Double-die varieties show doubling in the lettering or numbers. Off-center strikes create odd, misaligned images. These features can transform a coin's value from pocket change to staggering wealth. If you believe you have something special, resist the urge to clean it, ever. Cleaning a coin can erase thousands of dollars in value instantly. Instead, store it carefully and consider having it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. These organizations certify a coin's authenticity and condition, giving collectors the confidence to pay top dollar. A certified 1945 penny in flawless condition could be your ticket to financial freedom. Picture what nearly $1 million could mean for your life. Paying off your home, securing your children's future, traveling the world without glancing at the price tag. This is why people are willing to search through rolls of pennies for hours on end, because the potential reward is staggering, and the thrill of discovery is unlike anything else. And here's the part that should keep you leaning forward in your seat. Every single year, ordinary people stumble upon coins they never expected to be valuable. A forgotten box in the attic, a handful of change from a yard sale, even a penny dropped in the street can hold hidden wealth. The 1945 Lincoln penny is not just history. It's a reminder that opportunity hides in the smallest of places, so the next time you hear that faint jingle of coins in your pocket, ask yourself, what if one of them isn't just a penny? What if it's the key to a new chapter in your life, one filled with abundance, freedom, and the satisfaction of knowing you discovered something extraordinary? If this story has stirred something inside you, if it's reminded you that wealth is often waiting in the most unlikely corners of our lives, don't let the moment pass. Go check your coins. Open that old jar. Dig through that box in the basement. You never know what fortune may be staring back at you. And when you're ready to learn more secrets about the coins hiding in plain sight, make sure you subscribe, because the next video might just reveal the treasure sitting right under your nose. Imagine for just a moment that sitting in your pocket, your drawer, or an old jar in the attic is a tiny copper coin that could be worth nearly $1 million. Not a gold bar, not a diamond ring, but a simple penny. A penny that most people would overlook, spend without thinking, or even throw away. And yet, for the few who know its secret, the 1950 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is one of the most powerful hidden treasures in American history. This isn't just about finding loose change. This is about unlocking a story that could change the course of your financial life. A coin so ordinary, and yet so rare in its details, that collectors across the world are willing to pay up to $950,000 for the right one. The question is, could you be holding it right now? The year 1950 was a transitional time in America. Families were rebuilding after World War II, industry was booming, and money moved quickly. Pennies were everywhere, fueling daily life in diners, shops, and bus stations. But hidden within this tidal wave of coins, a quiet anomaly slipped into circulation. Pennies struck at the Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark at all. At first glance, they look no different from billions of others. But under the trained eye of a collector, small differences tell a story of scarcity and survival. And scarcity in the world of numismatics always equals value. Now here's where it gets fascinating. While millions of 1950 pennies exist, the vast majority are common copper pieces worth only a cent or two. But an extremely small fraction were struck with such precision, preserved with such care, and survived in such pristine condition that they've become the holy grail for penny hunters. Imagine a coin minted in 1950, never touched, never scratched, never dulled by circulation. Those are the specimens that climb into the hundreds of thousands, and in recent years, certain graded examples have pushed astonishingly close to that $950,000 mark. But let's pause here for a moment, because I know what you're thinking. How in the world could a penny, something we toss into tip jars, be worth almost $1 million? Well, that's the magic of collecting. Rarity plus condition equals demand. And demand, when fueled by competition among wealthy collectors, can drive prices into the stratosphere. Think of it this way. When two millionaires want the same coin and only one can have it, the value becomes whatever the highest bidder is willing to pay. And that's where fortunes are made. Now, before you go rushing to dump out your change jar, there's something important you need to know. Condition is everything. A 1950 penny with scratches, wear, or discoloration may only be worth $1 or $2. But a flawless, uncirculated specimen, graded by trusted authorities like PCGS or NGC, can transform into that near $1 million masterpiece. This is where most people get it wrong. They assume every old penny is a ticket to wealth. But the truth is, only those with pristine condition and extraordinary rarity carry such legendary value. Here's a little story. A man in the Midwest once discovered a forgotten roll of 1950 pennies tucked away in his father's desk. Nothing fancy, just a roll of copper coins. But inside, he found one coin so perfectly preserved it later sold at auction for a life-changing sum. What makes this story unforgettable isn't just the money. It's the reminder that wealth often hides in the places we least expect. One coin changed a family's future. And right now, someone watching this might be holding the next one. Now, I have to warn you. Every year, thousands of people miss their chance. They clean coins, damaging them forever. They sell them too quickly without research. Or worse, they never even check their pennies at all. Fear of missing out? You should feel it, because with values soaring to $950,000, hesitation can cost you dearly. But here's the flip side. The opportunity is still alive. Coins are still surfacing, collections are still being uncovered, and every new discovery sends ripples of excitement through the coin-collecting world. So how do you know if you've got one of these life-changing pennies? Start by looking for a 1950 Lincoln cent with no mint mark under the date. Check its condition carefully, no scratches, no dulling. If it looks unusually sharp, unusually fresh, you might have something special. The next step is professional grading. Never rely on guesswork. A certified grading service can confirm its condition and unlock its true market value. Here's where urgency comes in. The market for rare coins is surging. Investors are treating them as tangible assets, safe havens in uncertain times. Demand is at record highs, and competition is fierce. Waiting could mean watching the peak pass you by. Think about what nearly $1 million could mean in your life. Paying off every debt, retiring early, giving your children or grandchildren a secure future, or finally living the lifestyle you've always dreamed of. And all of it from a coin you may already own. That's not just exciting, it's transformative. So, let me leave you with this. Somewhere in the world right now, a forgotten 1950 no mint mark penny is waiting to be discovered. Maybe it's sitting in an old coffee can. Maybe it's hidden in a dusty coin album. Or maybe it's already in your hands. The difference between letting it slip away and turning it into $950,000 is knowledge, timing, and action. If you've stayed with me this long, you know the power of one coin. Don't let this opportunity pass you by. Check your pennies. Get them graded. And if you want more secrets about the coins that could change your life forever, make sure you subscribe now, because the next treasure might be just one video away. Imagine this. You're reaching into an old coffee can tucked away in the garage. It rattles with forgotten change, coins you haven't touched in decades. You pour them out onto the table, and there it is, a simple, brown, worn little penny. But here's the shocking part. This ordinary-looking coin, a 1953 Lincoln cent with no mint mark, could be worth nearly $1 million today. Yes, a single cent you might walk past on the sidewalk could secretly hold the power to change your entire financial future. It sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? After all, how could something so small, so common, carry such weight? Yet that's the hidden beauty of rare coins. They remind us that life's greatest treasures are often hiding in plain sight. And if you think I'm exaggerating, keep watching, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why collectors are willing to pay as much as $953,000 for one of these seemingly humble pennies. To grasp the value of this coin, you have to step back in time. The year was 1953. Dwight Eisenhower was president. America was in the midst of post-war growth, and pennies were truly worth something back then. A single cent could actually buy a piece of candy. But here's where the mystery begins. The Philadelphia Mint struck millions of Lincoln cents that year, all without mint marks. On the surface, nothing unusual. But within those strikes, a tiny fraction emerged with remarkable traits: flawless condition, bold details, striking luster, or even subtle die errors invisible to the untrained eye. Those are the coins that make collectors' hearts race. Those are the coins that climb in value, quietly waiting in drawers and jars across the country. Now here's where the fear sets in. How many people over the years tossed these away, never realizing what they held? How many of these rare cents slipped through fingers into piggy banks, vending machines, and soda fountains, vanishing forever into circulation? The idea that you could be holding something worth nearly $1 million and not know it should make you pause the next time you dismiss a penny as worthless pocket change. And let's be honest, how many times have you said, "It's just a penny"? I bet more than once. But imagine being the person who thought that and then watch someone else sell the exact coin they overlooked for life-changing money. That stings, doesn't it? Now, if you're wondering why anyone would pay close to $1 million for a coin the government made by the millions, here's the answer. Rarity, condition, and demand. A 1953 Lincoln cent in flawless mint state, with perfect red luster, graded at the highest level, becomes almost a one-of-a-kind piece of American history. For serious collectors, it's not just metal. It's a story. It's pride. It's ownership of something no one else in the world can claim. And in the world of numismatics, that exclusivity drives breathtaking prices. But here's the exciting part. You don't need to be a professional dealer or a historian to stumble across one of these gems. Everyday people, teachers, veterans, parents cleaning out old coin jars, have found coins like this without even trying. Some of them went from broke to financially free because of a single discovery. And that's where the thrill lies. Every coin you touch could be a lottery ticket in disguise. Still, here's the danger. If you don't know what to look for, you might hand over a rare coin for a few cents at a gas station or roll it up for the bank without a second thought. Education is the difference between wealth and regret. And trust me, once you know the signs, sharp details on Lincoln's hair, crisp wheat stalks on the reverse, brilliant red surfaces with no blemishes, you'll never see a penny the same way again. Think about it. How much time do we spend chasing opportunities, working extra hours, investing in stocks, worrying about retirement? And yet, sometimes the key to wealth is already sitting in your home, waiting for you to recognize it. That tiny coin could be the bridge between stress and security, between dreams deferred and dreams achieved. Now I know what you're thinking. Okay, so where do I start? Do I go digging through my couch cushions? Raid old piggy banks? Raid grandpa's coin jar? Honestly, yes, that's exactly where you start. Because here's the cliffhanger. Most people watching this will shrug, laugh it off, and do nothing. But a handful will take action. They'll start searching, learning, checking their coins carefully. And those are the people who may stumble upon the life-changing penny that others ignored. Imagine being that person. Imagine opening an old envelope, a dusty tin, or a box of change, and realizing you just uncovered nearly $1 million in your hand. Imagine calling your family into the room and watching their jaws drop as you explain the story. That's not a fantasy. That's a possibility, and it's waiting for someone bold enough to look at us. So the question is, will that someone be you? If you want to unlock more hidden stories of coins worth staggering amounts of money, if you want to learn the strategies that turn loose change into serious wealth, then don't just leave it to chance. Subscribe right now, because every video here is another step toward finding the treasure already sitting under your nose. And remember, sometimes the smallest things carry the biggest fortunes. The next penny you touch might just be the one that changes your life forever. Imagine holding a single penny in your hand. Dull copper, a coin you've seen 1,000 times before. But what if I told you that one of these pennies, specifically a 1962 Lincoln cent with the tiny D mint mark just below the date, could be worth nearly $1 million today? Yes, a coin worth 1 cent at the cashier could instead unlock a new chapter of wealth and freedom in your life. That's not just pocket change. That's life-changing. Most people glance at pennies and toss them aside, thinking they're worthless. But history has a way of hiding treasure in plain sight. And in 1962, something remarkable happened at the Denver Mint. Millions of pennies were struck, most of them ordinary. But a few left the presses with microscopic differences, subtle misstrikes, doubled features, or unusually high-grade preservation. These rare survivors, decades later, are now among the most valuable pieces of U.S. coinage. Imagine finding one of these coins in an old jar tucked in your attic, the same way countless collectors have stumbled upon hidden fortune. What would you do if your forgotten penny turned out to be worth $962,000? It's a strange thought, isn't it, that a coin you could have spent on bubble gum as a kid is now worth more than most homes. But this is the magic and the mystery of numismatics. Wealth is quietly circulating in everyday pockets, waiting for sharp eyes to recognize it. And here's the truth many people overlook. These coins aren't just old metal. They're relics of American history, carrying the fingerprints of a generation, carrying stories through the decades. And like buried treasure, the few that have survived in pristine, untouched condition are commanding jaw-dropping prices at auction houses today. And of course, you might be thinking, why so much? Why would anyone pay close to $1 million for a penny? The answer is simple: rarity plus demand. Collectors don't want just any penny. They want the one that's impossibly rare, the one that survived decades without a scratch, the one with an error only a handful of people even know exists. In fact, Some 1962 D pennies have been discovered with doubling on Lincoln's profile or inconsistencies in the lettering. Others are graded so perfectly by professionals that they represent less than a dozen examples on Earth. And when something is both historically important and nearly impossible to find, collectors with deep pockets step in, and the bidding wars begin. Now, here's where you need to pay attention. Somewhere in America right now, there are people unknowingly holding on to these valuable 1962 pennies. They're sitting in kitchen drawers, coffee tins, and coin jars. Some might even be jingling around in purses or forgotten piggy banks. Isn't it a bit terrifying to think you could spend a penny at the store tomorrow that's actually worth more than a luxury car? That's the fear collectors have, and the reason you need to look closely before dismissing that old coin in your change. Here's the kicker. Condition is everything. A heavily worn penny might only be worth a few cents, maybe a couple of dollars. But the same coin, untouched, gleaming like the day it was minted, could be valued at hundreds of thousands. That's the razor's edge between ordinary and extraordinary. One small detail, one overlooked characteristic, could be the difference between flipping a penny into a fountain and flipping it into financial independence. And this is where the urgency comes in. Every year that passes, more of these coins disappear into collections forever, never to re-enter circulation. Fewer opportunities remain for ordinary people to stumble upon them. What's left are those lucky moments when someone checks their change and sees something unusual, or when a family member's dusty coin jar reveals a long-forgotten gem. Think about that for a second. Somewhere out there, right now, someone is about to discover their financial breakthrough hidden in the form of a 1962 D Lincoln penny. Will that person be you, or will you let the chance slip away unnoticed? And yes, I know what you're wondering. How do you know if your penny is valuable? The answer lies in details. Look for sharpness in the strike, clarity in Lincoln's hair and beard, doubling in the letters "In God We Trust," or unusual spacing in the date and mint mark. Then, if your coin looks promising, have it professionally graded. That tiny step could be the one that turns an ordinary penny into a $962,000 treasure. So here's your call to action. Don't just brush past the pennies lying around your house. Inspect them, study them, treat them as potential keys to a new life. Because if one coin could change the course of someone else's life, why not yours? And if you want to stay ahead of the game, learning about the rarest coins still hiding in plain sight, make sure you subscribe. There's a universe of hidden wealth out there, quietly waiting for someone bold enough, curious enough, and persistent enough to uncover it. The next treasure story could belong to you. What if the penny sitting in your change jar right now could buy you a mansion, a luxury car, and still leave enough left over for your retirement? Sounds like a fairy tale, right? But in the world of rare coins, fairy tales are written in copper and stamped with a mint mark. Today, we're diving into one of the most surprising treasures hiding in plain sight, the 1970 D Lincoln penny. A coin that looks ordinary, feels ordinary, and yet, in the right condition, carries a jaw-dropping market value of $970,000. Yes, a penny worth nearly $1 million at first glance. It's just another 1-cent piece from Denver, nothing flashy. But that's exactly why most people miss it. They toss it in a drawer, spend it without thinking, or let it vanish into decades of pocket change. And that's where the story gets powerful, because in numismatics, the art and science of rare coins, value doesn't shout, it whispers. And the 1970 D penny whispers a story of rarity, mistakes, and hidden wealth. It's 1970, the United States Mint in Denver is running at full speed, striking millions of pennies every day. But in the chaos of production, tiny variations slip through, misstrikes, double dies, small details that separate the everyday from the extraordinary. Collectors spend their lives chasing these tiny differences, because they transform a penny into a fortune. The 1970 D Lincoln penny is one of those miracles, with rare versions that are worth more than houses in today's market. Why so valuable? Part of the mystery lies in its double die errors, where the coin is struck twice with a slightly shifted design. This creates a ghost-like doubling on letters and numbers. The naked eye might miss it, but trained collectors know. And in God we trust that looks doubled. A date that seems shadowed. It's not a flaw, it's a golden ticket. And when such a coin is found in pristine condition, sealed and graded by professionals. That's when the market explodes. But here's where fear comes in. Most people don't even realize they might already own one. They let these coins pass through their hands, unnoticed, maybe even rolling them into penny sleeves at the bank. Imagine losing out on almost $1 million because you never looked closely enough at a coin you already had. That's the nightmare scenario, and it's happening every single day. On the flip side, the excitement is undeniable. Imagine sitting at your kitchen table, sifting through a jar of pennies you've ignored for years, and suddenly spotting the tiniest doubling on a date. Your heart pounds, your hands tremble, and in that moment, your entire financial future shifts. That's not just luck. It's the payoff for being curious, for paying attention when others don't. Now, you may be wondering who on earth would pay nearly $1 million for a penny. The answer: serious collectors, investors, and auction houses that thrive on rarity. Coins like this aren't just metal, they're history, prestige, and status symbols. They carry stories, and stories sell. The 1970 D penny, in particular, has become almost legendary in coin collecting circles. The current market value hovers around $970,000, depending on condition and grade. That means if you've got one sitting unnoticed in your house, you're literally holding a lottery ticket you didn't know you bought. Let's pause for a second. When was the last time you actually looked at the pennies in your wallet? Most of us haven't because we assume they're all worthless. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The difference between ordinary change and life-changing wealth is a few seconds of attention. So ask yourself, are you overlooking the very thing that could change your life? And here's a little humor to cut the tension. If you find one, don't go spending it on a pack of gum. Imagine handing a cashier $970,000 for a stick of spearmint. That's the most expensive breath freshener in history. The good news is, searching for one doesn't require special tools or expertise. Start by checking the date, 1970, and the tiny D mint mark for Denver. Then look carefully for doubling on the letters and numbers, especially "In God We Trust" and the date. If you see anything suspicious, don't dismiss it. Get it professionally evaluated. That one step could be the difference between 1 cent and nearly $1 million. But here's the urgency. These coins aren't getting more common. As collectors snap them up, they vanish from circulation forever. Every day you wait, the odds of finding one shrink. And with the current market climbing, every missed opportunity could cost you the wealth others are seizing. So, here's the cliffhanger question you need to answer for yourself. What if the next penny you touch is the one? Will you let it slip away like everyone else? Or will you be the person who looks closely, spots the difference, and changes your financial future forever? That choice, that awareness, is where fortunes begin. And if you want to keep uncovering the hidden treasures in your pocket change, pennies, nickels, dimes that could be worth life-changing money, make sure you're here with me. Subscribe, because the next story I share might just be the one that turns your spare change into a wealthy lifestyle. Don't miss it. Because after all, the difference between rich and poor might just be a single penny you already own. Imagine holding a single penny in your hand. Ordinary, copper brown, scratched by time. Now imagine that same penny being worth nearly $1 million. Sounds impossible, right? But it isn't. Because hiding in pockets, piggy banks, and forgotten coffee cans across America, there exists a coin so deceptively common that most people throw it aside without a second thought. The 1971 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. At first glance, it's the same as every other cent minted in that decade. Abraham Lincoln's profile. The words, "In God We Trust." The familiar memorial reverse. But what if I told you that this unassuming coin, overlooked for more than 50 years, has the power to completely rewrite someone's financial future? The current market has seen this coin valued at an astonishing $971,000, and in rare circumstances, the right specimen could soar into the millions. Now, before you rush to empty your change jar, understand this. Not all 1971 pennies are created equal. This is where most people miss the golden opportunity. They look too quickly, assume they've just got another worthless cent, and toss it aside. But wealth often hides in plain sight, and history has proven that the greatest fortunes are made by those who take a second look. Isn't it strange how life-changing opportunities often wear the disguise of the ordinary? So let's dig deeper. Why is the 1971 no-mint mark penny so valuable? The answer lies in a combination of rarity, historical error, and the insatiable demand from collectors. In 1971, millions of pennies were struck at multiple mints. Denver pennies bear the D. San Francisco pennies carry the S. But in Philadelphia, no mint mark was used. Normally, that's not unusual. Philadelphia rarely stamped its coins with a mark. Yet within that year's production, certain flaws, die variations, and pristine conditions created a perfect storm that birthed one of the rarest and most desirable pennies in modern history. Condition, of course, is everything. A circulated penny you find at the bottom of your car cup holder won't be worth much. But if you uncover a near-perfect example, one with sharp details, full luster, and no signs of wear, you could be holding something that collectors will pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to own. Some of these coins, preserved in pristine state by pure accident, have been auctioned for life-changing sums. Imagine finding one of those in your grandfather's coin collection, realizing that the little copper piece you almost dismissed could cover college tuition, wipe out debts, or even buy a dream home. Now here's where the fear sets in. Most people watching this right now will never bother to check. They'll roll their eyes, tell themselves it's just a penny, and move on. And in doing so, they'll potentially walk past one of the greatest hidden treasures of their lifetime. That's the terrifying part. Opportunity doesn't always knock loudly. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it jingles softly in your pocket and waits for you to notice. Let's take a moment to laugh at the absurdity of it all. We're talking about a coin worth 1 cent. You couldn't buy a piece of gum with it today. Yet here we are, assigning it a value higher than luxury cars, higher than some houses. Isn't that the kind of plot twist life throws at us to remind us that wealth often hides in unexpected places? But don't think this is pure luck. The collector's market thrives on knowledge, patience, and the ability to recognize what others overlook. Coins like the 1971 no-mint mark penny represent not just currency, but history, craftsmanship, and scarcity. And when scarcity meets demand, that's where fortunes are made. So how do you know if your penny is valuable? First, examine the condition under a magnifying glass. Look for a strong strike, minimal wear, and rich color. Second, check for varieties. Some 1971 pennies exhibit doubling in the lettering or Lincoln's features, a phenomenon known as a double die. These varieties can skyrocket the value. Finally, consider professional grading. Sending your coin to an authorized grading service can transform it from just a penny into a certified investment asset recognized worldwide. Now let me ask you this. How many of you have a jar of coins sitting somewhere in your home? Maybe tucked away in a kitchen drawer, maybe collecting dust in the garage. What if inside that jar, right now, sits a 1971 penny worth close to $1 million? Wouldn't you feel a little uneasy knowing you've ignored it for years? That little twist in your stomach? That's opportunity calling. And here's the cliffhanger most people can't resist. The 1971 penny isn't the only coin hiding in plain sight with staggering value. If this 1 cent piece can reach $971,000 today, imagine what other coins could be waiting for discovery. This is your chance. Don't leave wealth to chance. Don't assume fortune belongs only to others. Take the time to look, to learn, and to search. Because 1 penny can change everything. If you want more strategies, tips, and insider secrets about coins worth money, make sure you subscribe right now. Your financial future might just be hiding in your pocket. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. What if the smallest coin in your pocket could be the ticket to a fortune greater than you've ever dreamed of? Imagine a coin so ordinary, so easy to overlook, yet quietly holding the power to change your financial future forever. That's the untold story of the 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that many people dismiss as spare change but is now shaking up the world of collectors with values soaring as high as $973,000. Yes, you heard that right. Nearly $1 million, sitting in the palm of your hand. Most people think wealth comes from hard work, long hours, or sheer luck. But sometimes wealth hides in plain sight. The 1973 penny without a mint mark might look like every other copper-colored cent in circulation. It might have even slipped through your fingers a dozen times without a second thought. Yet, in the right condition, this little coin becomes a golden key to a lifestyle of abundance, travel, and security. Everything we secretly long for but often assume is out of reach. The truth is, the treasures of the coin world don't just belong to museums or seasoned dealers. They're hiding in drawers, jars, and old coffee cans across America. The only question is, do you already own one? Here's the twist. Not every 1973 penny is worth a fortune. Millions were minted, but the ones without a mint mark, struck under very specific circumstances, are the rare gems collectors crave. Imagine the thrill of rummaging through your collection and spotting one coin that doesn't belong, a coin that defies the odds. One discovery like that could erase years of financial stress. It's the kind of find that turns everyday Americans into overnight millionaires. And isn't that both exhilarating and terrifying? The idea that you might have already touched your fortune but never knew it. Let's pause for a moment. How many times have you emptied your pockets, dumped your coins into a jar, and promised yourself you'd roll them someday? We all do it. That jar might not just be clutter. Could be your retirement plan. Could be the safety net you've been searching for. But the clock is ticking. Collectors are circling, and every year, fewer of these rare pennies remain in private hands. The demand is climbing. The prices are surging. And hesitation might cost you the biggest opportunity of your life. Now, let's talk condition. Not all coins are created equal. A worn penny with scratches and discoloration might only fetch a modest premium. But a pristine, high-grade 1973 no-mint mark penny? That's where the magic happens. That's when auction rooms fall silent, paddles rise, and jaws drop as bidding wars push the value into 6 or even 7 figures. Think about that. A single coin, barely larger than your thumbnail, commanding more money than luxury cars, more than beach houses, more than many people earn in a lifetime. Why? Because rarity and demand make the rules in this world. And when the stars align, ordinary objects become priceless. Of course, this brings up a pressing question. What if you sell too soon? What if you let your treasure slip away at a fraction of its worth? That's the fear that keeps collectors awake at night. Timing is everything. With the current market value hovering at $973,000, the opportunity is red hot. Yet values are rising, and tomorrow could bring an even higher number. Waiting could mean fortune, or it could mean missing the window. And that's the thrill, isn't it? The delicate balance between fear and reward, between risk and reward. Picture yourself discovering one tonight. Maybe tucked in a dusty box of keepsakes. Maybe in an old roll you never bothered to open. Imagine calling your family into the room, holding it up with trembling hands, realizing that this humble penny could be worth more than the house you live in. What would you do first? Pay off debts? Travel the world? Secure your children's future? This isn't just about coins. This is about freedom. This is about rewriting your story with the help of something as small and simple as a piece of copper. And here's the kicker. Most people will hear this story and shrug it off. They'll assume coins like these only belong to experts or collectors with decades of experience. But those who take the time to check, those who look closely, those who dare to believe, those are the people who win. Which side of that choice will you be on? Before you rush to check your coins, let me leave you with this thought. Life rarely hands us second chances. The 1973 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny isn't just a collector's curiosity. It's a symbol of hidden potential, of wealth disguised as something ordinary. The market has spoken, and the price is soaring. But the window of opportunity is never wide, and it never stays open for long. So if you've ever dreamed of living free from financial worry, if you've ever hoped for a miracle to land in your hands, maybe that miracle has been with you all along, waiting for you to notice. Check your pennies, search your jars, and don't ignore the chance staring you in the face. Because sometimes the smallest coin carries the biggest destiny. And if you want more stories like this, secrets hidden in plain sight that could change your future forever, make sure you subscribe. The next fortune could be waiting in the very next coin we uncover together. Imagine pulling out an old coin from a jar, brushing off the dust, and realizing it could be the ticket to a wealthy lifestyle. Sounds like a fantasy, right? But what if I told you that in America's loose change hides a 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors, shaken the numismatic market, and now carries a jaw-dropping value of $979,000? A coin so ordinary in appearance, yet so extraordinary in worth, the 1979 Lincoln penny with a D mint mark. Before you dismiss this as too good to be true, pause for a moment. Every wealthy collector and investor knows that opportunities are rarely advertised on billboards. They hide in plain sight, waiting for the sharp-eyed to notice. And in the world of rare coins, timing is everything. Miss it and someone else walks away with a fortune that could have been yours. Now, let's dig into why the single cent is commanding prices that most people associate with houses, luxury cars, or retirement accounts. First, consider the year 1979. America was wrestling with inflation, a shift in culture, and rising costs of production. Pennies struck at the Denver Mint carried the small d beneath the date. Most were just workhorse coins meant for circulation, billions produced. But as with all things mass-produced, a few slipped through with peculiarities, striking errors, or minting anomalies so rare they transformed an everyday coin into an artifact worth more than a lifetime of paychecks. Collectors love a good story, and the 1979 D Lincoln penny delivers. Some of these coins display extraordinary sharpness of detail, unusual double-die strikes, or surfaces so pristine that they gleam like they were minted yesterday. When one of these rare survivors lands at auction in high mint state condition, bidding wars ignite. The results? A market value today touching an astounding $979,000 for the best-known examples. That's not just a number. It's life-changing wealth in the size of a fingertip. And here's where the excitement turns personal. How many of us still have old jars of change sitting in closets or basements? Pennies passed down from parents or grandparents. Maybe you've even laughed at the thought of sorting through them. But here's the truth. Inside those jars could be the opportunity to alter your financial destiny. What's collecting dust today could fund your retirement tomorrow. Let me give you an image. A man in Texas once sat down with his coffee and decided to empty his father's old coin box. He nearly spilled his drink when he found a penny so flawless, so perfectly struck, that it later sold for more than most people's homes. He had been living paycheck to paycheck, but one coin flipped his entire future. Stories like his are not folklore, they're real, and they're happening in quiet households across America. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would anyone pay close to $1 million for a penny? The answer lies in rarity, condition, and demand. Numismatics is not just a hobby. It's an investment world with its own rules. Collectors with deep pockets will pay extraordinary sums to secure the few coins that meet perfection. If you hold one, you're not just a coin owner, you're a gatekeeper to history, and history pays handsomely. But let me spark a little fear. What if you walk past your chance? What if you toss a coin into a vending machine that could have been your ticket to wealth? That's the terrifying thought that keeps collectors searching relentlessly. Every coin spent without inspection could be a fortune lost. So, how do you know if your 1979 D penny is special? First, look for crisp details on Lincoln's hair, beard, and jacket. Check the date and mint mark for doubling. Examine the coin's surface. Any unusual luster or lack of wear could signal untapped value. And here's a hint. Don't clean it, ever. A shiny penny scrubbed with good intentions can lose thousands in value instantly. Better to leave the dirt than lose the dollars. The truth is, only a handful of these coins exist in the condition that attracts 6-figure and 7-figure bids. But even pennies in slightly lower grades can fetch thousands, even tens of thousands. That's not pocket change. That's tuition money, medical debt cleared, or a down payment on the dream home you've been imagining. And yet, here's the cliffhanger. What if tomorrow the market shifts, a new record is set, and suddenly your humble penny could be worth even more? The trajectory of rare coin values is climbing, and every day someone, somewhere uncovers a forgotten treasure. Will the next headline feature your name, or will it pass you by because you never bothered to check? If this message resonates with you, if you feel that spark of curiosity, then don't ignore it. Start searching your coins, open those jars, and look closely. Wealth isn't always found in stocks, bonds, or real estate. Sometimes it hides in the smallest corners of your life, waiting to be discovered. The story of the 1979 Lincoln penny isn't just about money. It's about awareness, timing, and daring to believe that something as ordinary as a cent could rewrite your story. Because here's the secret: ordinary people become extraordinary when they act on opportunities others overlook. So, are you ready to look closer at what's already in your hands? Or will you let the chance for nearly $1 million slip back into circulation, unnoticed? If you want more strategies on spotting these hidden treasures, more insights into coins that could change your life, then make sure you subscribe. Don't miss what could be the most profitable knowledge you'll ever stumble upon. After all, your wealth may already be sitting in a drawer, waiting for you to notice it. Imagine reaching into your pocket for spare change and pulling out a penny worth nearly $1 million. Not a gold coin, not a rare diamond, just a simple copper-colored penny that most people would overlook, toss in a jar, or leave in a parking lot. What if I told you that a 1982 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, the same kind you might have handled countless times, is currently valued as high as $982,000? That's right. A coin you thought was worth 1 cent could instead be your ticket to financial freedom. The story of the 1982 penny is one of mystery, luck, and incredible value hidden in plain sight. But before we dive into why this coin is so special, here's a question for you. When was the last time you actually looked closely at your pennies? Most of us barely notice them. We drop them in jars, we ignore them at the checkout line, or worse, we let them roll under the couch and never bother picking them up. And yet, those forgotten little coins could be the difference between struggling to pay bills and suddenly living with choices, comfort, and the luxury of saying yes to opportunities you once thought were out of reach. The year 1982 was a turning point for the penny. The U.S. Mint made a historic decision to change the very metal the coin was made from. Until then, pennies were primarily copper. But rising metal costs forced a switch to a cheaper zinc core with only a thin copper plating. The transition didn't happen overnight. Both copper and zinc pennies were struck in 1982, along with a strange mix of different variations: large date, small date, Denver Mint, Philadelphia Mint, and then the elusive 1982 with no mint mark at all. Here's where the mystery deepens. A very small number of these coins were struck without a mint mark, meaning no tiny D for Denver or no P for Philadelphia. At first glance, it looks like any ordinary penny. But collectors, dealers, and auction houses know better. The 1982 no-mint mark penny is one of the most valuable modern U.S. coins in circulation. And today, a pristine example commands up to $982,000 in the open market. Now let's pause for a moment. Imagine how many 1982 pennies have passed through your hands over the years. How many times have you dropped one into a tip jar or handed one over without a thought? That nagging feeling in your gut right now, that tiny fear of what you may have already lost. That's exactly why this coin is so captivating. But don't lose hope just yet. The good news is these pennies are still out there. People are finding them tucked away in old coffee cans, in dusty boxes of change from the attic, even in pocket change picked up at the grocery store. And while most 1982 pennies won't be worth more than face value, the possibility of finding the no-mint mark treasure is real. The thrill of the hunt is what drives so many collectors and ordinary people toward life-changing discoveries. Here's what to look for. First, the date, 1982. Second, check carefully under the date for a mint mark. If there's a D or a faint P, it's not the one. But if you see nothing at all, no mint mark, you could be holding a rare piece of history. And before you shrug and think, well, mine looks a little worn, so it probably doesn't count, remember this. Even circulated versions can sell for thousands. Condition matters, yes, but rarity is the ultimate game changer. Think about it like this. Would you rather throw away a lottery ticket without checking it? Or would you at least give it a glance just in case it holds the winning numbers? The same goes for your change. Every penny is a lottery ticket, and the 1982 no-mint mark penny is the jackpot. Now let's talk about the bigger picture. Why does this matter to you? Because wealth isn't always found in stock markets or business ventures. Sometimes it's sitting quietly in your home, disguised as something ordinary. This is an opportunity not just to make money, but to change the way you look at everyday life. What if wealth has always been within your reach? You just never knew where to look? And here's the exciting part. Imagine selling one of these coins at auction. You walk into a room filled with collectors, investors, and eager bidders. The auctioneer calls out numbers that climb higher and higher until suddenly your coin is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. The gavel drops. That single penny, once dismissed as pocket change, has transformed into a life-altering sum of money. Of course, you might be wondering, why haven't I heard more about this coin? Why isn't everyone searching for it? The answer is simple. Not many people believe it's possible. Most people think pennies are worthless. But you, right now, are learning the truth that others overlook. And if you act on it, if you start looking, searching, and valuing what most people ignore, you may be the one who finds it. So here's the question. The next time you get a handful of change, will you ignore it? Or will you take a closer look? Will you treat that penny as disposable, or will you see it for what it might be? A golden opportunity hiding in plain sight. Don't let another day pass where you blindly toss away potential fortune. If you're serious about unlocking hidden value, about turning the ordinary into the extraordinary, this is your chance. Start today. Check your pennies. Share this knowledge with your family and friends. You never know who might be holding on to the coin that could change their life forever. And if you want to keep discovering which coins are worth real money, which ones can set you on the path to wealth and freedom, make sure you subscribe and join this community. Because in the world of rare coins, every story, every coin, and every discovery could be the one that changes everything for you. Your next penny might just be worth $982,000. Will you be the one to find it? Imagine holding a single penny in your hand, something you'd normally drop in a tip jar or lose under the couch cushions. Now imagine that very same penny being the ticket to nearly $1 million. Sounds impossible, right? But here's the secret collectors don't want you to overlook. The 1991 Lincoln penny without a mint mark. It looks ordinary, it feels ordinary, but it carries a value so extraordinary it can turn everyday people into the wealthiest of storytellers. The truth is, the 1991 no mint mark Lincoln penny is far from an accident. It's a result of a fascinating period in U.S. coin production when minor oversights created rare treasures. While most pennies from this year are worth exactly 1 cent, a select few with no mint mark have broken the mold, reaching staggering valuations of up to millions, with a current market high estimated at $991,000. And here's the frightening part. You may have handled one of these coins without realizing it, letting fortune slip through your fingers. Think about that for a second. How many times have you cleaned out a jar of old pennies, only to cash them in for loose change? How many of those could have contained this exact coin? That's the mix of fear and opportunity that collectors thrive on. A tiny oversight at the mint has created life-changing wealth for those who paid attention. The question is, are you paying attention? Now, let's dive into what makes this coin so valuable. First, rarity is everything in numismatics. When a mint mark is missing, it signals a production anomaly. That anomaly creates scarcity, and scarcity ignites demand. Combine that with condition, historical context, and a growing collector market, and suddenly the most common object in America transforms into a symbol of wealth. The 1991 no mint mark penny has all of these factors lined up like a perfect storm. Collectors don't just see copper and zinc. They see legacy, history, and prestige. To own one of these pennies isn't just about the money, though the money is life-changing. It's about owning a slice of American history that almost shouldn't exist. Imagine explaining at a dinner party that your wealth was built not from the stock market or real estate, but from a penny most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up. That's the power of perspective, and humor aside, it's also the power of knowledge. But how do you know if you've got one? That's where the stakes get even higher. You'll want to look closely at pennies minted in 1991. Most will bear a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. The prize lies in those that have nothing at all beneath the year. No mint mark.
Pure, un assuming mystery.
If you're lucky enough to find one in pristine condition, shiny surfaces, minimal scratches, full detail, it could easily place you in that elite group of accidental millionaires. And here's the urgency. Time is not your friend in the coin world. As years pass, fewer pristine examples survive. Coins get circulated, damaged, lost to time. That means the few that remain only climb higher in value. Collectors are constantly watching, waiting, ready to snap up these treasures before the rest of the world even realizes what's happening. While you're hesitating, someone else could already be cashing in. Someone just like you decides to rummage through an old family coin jar, finds a 1991 penny with no mint mark, gets it professionally graded, and suddenly they're staring down nearly $1 million in market value. Wouldn't you kick yourself if that person wasn't you? It's not fantasy. It's happening quietly to those who take the time to look. Of course, grading matters. A coin in poor shape might only be worth a modest amount, but a coin in near-perfect mint state is where the eye-popping figures come from. That's the razor-thin line between pocket change and generational wealth. So don't just check, verify. Get it authenticated, graded, and protected. Now, let's have a little reality check. Do you know how many pennies you've walked past in your lifetime, lying face up on the sidewalk? How many did you ignore? Next time, maybe you'll think twice. That humble coin could be the single easiest investment of your life. And let's be honest, when was the last time Wall Street offered you $1 million return on a 1-cent risk? The ending of this story belongs to you. Either you let this knowledge fade into the background of your busy day, or you act on it. Tonight, tomorrow, this week. Search your jars, your drawers, your forgotten boxes in the attic. Because every day you wait, another collector gets richer. And the 1991 no mint mark penny isn't waiting for you. It's already waiting in someone's pocket. Before you go searching, make a promise to yourself. Never overlook the small things. Wealth is often hidden in plain sight, disguised as something ordinary. Your $1 million future might just be resting in a penny you already owned. If you found this revelation inspiring, don't just stop here. Subscribe, because there are countless other coins hiding in America's change that can reshape your financial story. Stay curious, stay vigilant, and who knows? The next time you open your wallet, you might just be holding the key to a wealthy lifestyle. Imagine holding a penny in your hand, a coin so common we barely notice it. Yet this very coin could secretly be worth more than your car, your home, or even your retirement savings. That's not fantasy. That's the shocking reality behind the 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin most people dismiss as spare change. But a select few collectors are hunting for it, prices reaching nearly $1 million. The current market value? An astonishing $994,000. Now ask yourself, what if that penny is sitting in your pocket right now? Every great discovery starts with something small, and this story is no different. Back in 1994, billions of pennies were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, most of them ordinary, mass-produced, and destined to live quiet lives in jars and drawers. But every once in a while, the minting process creates something different, something flawed, something rare. And rarity in the world of coins translates directly into wealth. No mint mark, unusual errors, crisp, uncirculated condition. These details turn a penny from a copper-colored afterthought into a life-changing treasure. Think about it. You might already have coins from the 90s lying around in an old coffee can. You've seen them hundreds of times without a second thought. But here's the chilling truth. Every time you ignore those pennies, you might be passing over a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Collectors and investors are paying extraordinary sums for these rarities, because they know what most people don't. The market isn't just hot, it's explosive. And the 1994 no-mint mark penny sits right at the heart of that fire. Now, you might be wondering, how can a single cent climb into the stratosphere of value? The answer lies in a perfect storm. Scarcity, condition, and demand. A pristine 1994 no-mint mark penny, untouched by circulation, can dazzle collectors. Add in a rare die error or striking anomaly, and suddenly the bidding wars begin. The coin stops being just a piece of money. It becomes a story, a piece of American history that someone wealthy is willing to fight for. And when wealthy collectors fight, the numbers climb higher and higher. That's how you get to figures like $994,000. Here's the part that makes your pulse quicken. These pennies aren't locked in museum vaults. They're out there, in circulation, hiding in purses, glove boxes, and kitchen junk drawers. Some of the richest coin finds in history came from people who almost spent them. One man once discovered a fortune hidden in change he was about to dump into a vending machine. Another nearly gave his away at a garage sale. Can you imagine handing $1 million penny to buy a soda? That's not just ironic, that's painful. And here's where the opportunity gets urgent. With each passing year, fewer of these coins survive. Pennies get lost, damaged, or forgotten. Collectors are scooping them up, locking them away, and driving scarcity through the roof. Every day you wait to search your change is another day someone else claims the fortune that could have been yours. Do you really want to risk looking back in 10 years, realizing you had the key to wealth in your hands but never took the time to check? Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds almost too good to be true, but that's what makes this so extraordinary. The coin world thrives on the overlooked, the underestimated, the things people pass over because they look ordinary. And that's the great irony of the 1994 penny. Its camouflage is its greatest weapon. It hides in plain sight. It's the treasure no one believes is real until they see the auction results. Here's a little perspective. Imagine finding a single coin that could erase debt, secure your children's future, or allow you to retire early. We're not talking about grinding away for decades, we're talking about a pocket change miracle. That's the power this penny holds. And the excitement isn't just about money. It's about possibility, about knowing the world is still full of hidden wonders waiting to be uncovered. Doesn't that make you want to check your wallet right now? So here's the challenge. Tonight, when you empty your pockets or open that dusty jar of coins, take a closer look. Inspect those pennies from the 90s. Search for the ones without a mint mark, the ones in near-perfect condition, the ones that could be carrying your financial breakthrough. Don't dismiss them, don't rush through them. Treat each coin as if it could change your life because one of them just might. And remember, the clock is ticking. As more of these coins vanish into private collections, your odds shrink. Don't let this be another story you hear about from someone else who got rich while you hesitated. Opportunity doesn't knock twice when it comes to rare coins. It whispers once, then disappears. If you found this eye-opening, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that subscribe button, because I'm uncovering more hidden treasures in the world of coins that could turn your spare change into serious wealth. Your financial freedom might be sitting in your pocket right now. Will you recognize it when you see it, or will you let it slip away forever? The choice and the fortune is yours.